Hi, I'm Tony Glassman, and today we're going to go over how to set up your Cataraft. This is how I set my cat up. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. There's about 20 something straps that go onto my setup, but I think this is a good thing to let people see. I get asked this question all the time, and kind of the main things that you want to see with your Cataraft is that your straps are all pulling your tubes into your frame. So you want it very responsive, kind of like you would fit a ski boot. That's the same kind of theory I have with setting up my Cataraft. So we're just going to kind of go through a step-by-step process today, and we'll see how it's done. So in setting up the cat, I use 3 different lengths of straps. I use 4-footers for my inside, front, and back. I use 2 10-footers, which I'll show you, and I use those on the 3rd D-ring back on the inside. And these kind of use a dual purpose. They hold the boat together, but I also use them as flip lines. And then the other strap that I use the most of is the downriver 6-footer. This strap is a little excessive for around the whole boat, but what I like about it is that if I swim for my boat, this strap gives me plenty of length and lots of places to grab onto the cat. So I'll use those all around the outside, and then my 2 inside by my feet in the captain's bay. The other place we'll use the 6-footers is on your front and back of your tips, and catarafters call this a tagline. So you have the strap there, and it's always hanging in the water. I get asked this a lot. Does it get caught on things? Is that dangerous? Thus far, no. It floats freely in the water. And since it's the strap material, the webbing, instead of a like a rope, I wouldn't really want off of these, but it tends to just kind of float in the water, goes right over everything. So every single strap that I put on the boat, I do the exact same way. Around the pipe, through the hole under the buckle, up through your D-ring, and then into the buckle. The reason I do this is because it creates tension on the strap once the webbing touches each other. Then when you go to pull it, the buckle stays in place and you don't have to worry about it going up or down and not getting nice and tight. So you notice that every strap on the boat is always going to be pointed down. The reason I do this is because I feel that you get the most tension by pulling down on something as opposed to up on it. This is some debate with other boaters. They like their straps pointed up, and they say that they do that because if they're in the middle of a run, they want to be able to reach down and grab that strap and tighten it up should it come loose. Personally, if I'm running something really stout where that's going to matter, I'm going to go through and check every single strap on the boat and make sure they're all nice and tight before the boat ever touches the water. The other important thing to remember when you're tightening down your straps is to do it before your final top off. This way you get them as tight as they'll go, and then when you top off the boat, it pulls them even tighter together and keeps it really, really nice. When setting up the cat, I always like to do the inside straps first. The reason I do this is because if you do the outside first, the tubes tend to rock away from you. If you do the inside, it pulls the tubes in tighter to the frame and then keeps the boat in a little bit closer position to what you're going to want on your final setup. The other thing that's important with all these straps is that as you're setting it up, don't get any of them too tight. You want it loose so when you go through and make your final adjustments that you can tighten it into place and not have to walk around 100 times and get it right. As we were talking earlier, the theory with setting up the cat is to be able to put your straps on in a way that it's going to pull the tubes nice and tight to your frame. So I always think about that, and this is a Downriver Clear Creek frame. It's their welded frame. It's, in my opinion, the best frame on the market. I love this thing. And when I'm setting it up, I'm always looking for how can I set it to where everything's going to pull in tighter and not move around. So here I'm using this down bar for the kick to be able to give it some support and not move and pull in tight. once again, don't make them too tight at first or you're just going to be loosening and tightening straps all day. Alright, so as we're putting on the inside straps here, these, I have a pretty specific way that I like to get it done. So as always, strap through, wrap it back under, make sure that stays in line. Now here's kind of the trickier part. You want to go down through your D-ring, back up, and then I like to do one more loop around the inside pipe of the frame. This really pulls the frame tight into your tube on that lower D-ring there on the lower bar. So as I have that there, I get it nice and tight. So then once you have the strap through, you're nice and tight, and it's really going to hold that into your cat frame. I'll loosen that up so we can make some adjustments. So as we were talking about earlier, we're going to use these 10-footers for a dual purpose. It's going to be our third D-ring back inside line, and it's also going to serve as a flip line. The way it serves as a flip line is I have a lot of tag hanging down at the bottom, so if the boat flips, I'm upside down, I can grab right onto it and pull it over. It works out really well. Some boaters like to use a piece of webbing, the elastic webbing like kayakers use, and they put it from their front D-ring to their back. The only thing I don't like about that is that I see them get really loose with people not checking them, and it just seems like an entrapment issue. I've never heard of it happening to someone, but Murphy's Law, not something I want to test out. So when I do it this one, it's a little bit different than the last. You're going to go down through the inside pipe, through the D-ring. You're going to pull your buckle all the way down to the inside pipe. Then we're going to come up, do one full loop, get our tension. Then back down through the D-ring. Make sure everything's in line, and then through the buckle. And the reason I do that one different, once again, is so I can have a lot of tag hanging and easily reflip the boat should I end up upside down. So you can see, once you do that, you're still creating your two loops, creating your tension, and it holds the boat nice and tight. So now, last inside strap, we're going to do the same way as the front, going on the inside, through the buckle, up and through the D-ring, and through. Once again, keeping it on the inside is going to help pull the tube tighter into the frame once we really cinch it down. Now, you just do the other inside, and we'll move on to the out. So outside tubes, we're going to set the strap up same way as always. Through the buckle, down through your D-ring, and back up. Piece of cake. So now that we have all of our straps on, we're going to go through the really fun process of tweaking the tubes and getting them set so that they're pointed completely flat, straight, and make sure everything's even. You can pull out a tape measure if you really want to get down to it. The way I kind of test where my tubes are at is I take my hand, put it over the chafing strip, and repeat on the other side, and then they're even. Once again, you can grab a tape measure if you really want to get it perfect, but that's a pretty good way of seeing where they're at. So now we'll go through and tighten her all down. Alright, so once I got it tightened down, I could see there's a little bit out to the outside. So if you want your tubes to roll in, you tighten on the outside straps. If you want to roll out, you tighten on the inside. Looks good. Repeat on the other side. Next thing we're going to do now that we have our tubes all tied together is put our spare oars on. Now this one, I do like the strap to be pointed towards me so it's easier to pull it in case I need that spare oar. With these, I'm going to wrap around just like the rest of our straps, put it through there, and this one kind of serves a dual purpose. Not only does it keep the strap tight, but if you pull it, it also has a better chance of hanging on there in what's normally a frantic situation. So I get it on there, through, looped, and then I always make sure that the buckle is up top, and that way I can easily reach over to it in case I need it. Back one, going to once again point the strap towards me, around the pipe, through the buckle. This one, I'm going to go around the inside bar and then back up to the oar. And that way it really holds it nice and in place. You can see they're locked in. You may notice that I have a thorn hanging from the back of my cat, and it actually does serve a purpose. What we do with these is we strap them underneath the seat into the back here, and you put it up here, and once you have it blown up, it creates a fulcrum point. So if I flip the boat, this is sitting up top higher than the other two tubes, and it makes it exponentially easier to flip the boat back over. If I'm running low water or a creek or something, then I'll tend to leave this off because it's just something else that's going to get snagged if I do flip. But for big water, it's invaluable. The other thing you can do with these, if you want to run some kind of waterfall, then you take it and you can strap it underneath your kick bar, and as you go down the waterfall, it kind of stops the tubes, the cat tubes, from penciling in, and really helps to level you out real quick. So I'll show you kind of what it looks like blown up. So yeah, as you can see, sitting higher than the tubes, way easier to flip. So now the cat's all set up, you're ready to get on the water, except the last thing you need to do is get your oars together. What I like to use is a piece of paracord. I think this is 4 or 5 millimeter, 6. And that way, if an oar pops, I don't end up losing it. And it's right there. I know it's going to be next to my boat and I can grab it. The other thing I really like is these Sawyer Cobras. I think that they feel a lot better than like the NRS ones or anything else that I've tried. And the important thing with the Cobras is to make sure that you always tune them. So when I put my Cobra in, it has to go into the blade because I have the top nice and tight, so I can't pop an oar. Other thing, and I get asked this a lot, is I use oar rights. The reason I use oar rights is because when you're rowing class 5 water or even class 4, you can't really afford to miss a stroke. A lot of people use oar rights as a beginner tool when they start rowing to make sure their oar's in the right place, but then once again, you cannot miss a stroke if you're in a class 5 stretch of water. And with a boat like this, especially a smaller Cataraft, this is the 12-foot air wave destroyer, you really don't have that much weight, so there's really no reason to feather your oar. It's never going to get stuck in the water or anything like that, and worst case, if it does, pull it forward a couple inches and pop it out. That's a pretty invaluable part of the setup to me. The last part of this setup is my downriver GoPro mount. This thing's sweet. It hooks with pipe clamps onto the back T5 pipe, and then goes in with your pin. Nice and easy. Cool thing about this, it's really tall, but with the pipe clamps, if I do flip and it ends up underwater, this thing is just going to fold in on itself one way or the other and keep my GoPro with it and not lose it and not pin the boat in some kind of weird place. Alright guys, so that's it. That's how you set up a Cataraft. Once again, there's a lot of different ways that you can go about this. This is just the way that works for me. Making sure all your straps are super tight, keep the boat responsive, and making sure once you do find the way that you really like to set up your cat, you do it the same way every time. It's just going to make your life a whole lot easier. And now that it's all set up, there's only one thing left to do. Go rafting.